All right, I'm gonna get us started because if you're not on time, you're late. So if you're not early, you're late, right? Um, but anyway, again, Bryant, wanted to thank you for joining us. You're next up in our series of special guests to this meeting. And for the first time, we're not going over rules because we have all of our rule review done. So exciting to have a different kind of conversation tonight. We're gonna start off with just the like ask me anything with Brian. I don't know, Brian, if you've got anything you want to start off with, or if you want me to just jump into questions.
Let's just jump into the questions.
Jump right in. All right, well, let's start with some basics. Can you just let us know a little bit about your like officiating career? Like how long have you been an official? How many years have you been a crew chief? How long
So
have
I've
you been in
been,
San Diego?
yeah, so this will be my 23rd season of officiating. I started here in San Diego. I did take 4 years. I was in Colorado for 4 years in Denver. So I did work for a little bit of time in another association, which really made me love this association. But I came back in here in 2011. And so the last 8 years I've been a crew chief. I started in the JC officiating. I believe this is my 13th year of junior college officiating, and it's my third year of being a crew chief at the junior college level.
Very cool. Um, So this is a fairly new group of officials, right? I think we're mostly in our second year. We have a few people who have found out about the group and asked to join who are a little bit more seasoned. But what advice do you have for us as we embark on our second season to just make it as successful as possible?
I think the biggest thing is just being willing to learn and listen and adapt to what anyone's telling you. As you've probably already been put in situations where you hear different things from different crew chiefs, from different people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of, okay, so today this is the way it's going to be done. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. And not just say, hey, this is what I learned and this is the way I'm going to do it. If you hear something, then do it that way for that game. Um, and then come back and ask other people that you trust, how should it be done?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also asking the questions. When you're out there on the field and something comes up, or before the game, when we're sitting there in pregame, if something came up in the previous week, if something happened at some point, ask the questions to somebody so you get clarification, because there's going to be a lot of weird things that happen. And it's easy to just go, oh, okay, yeah, that's what we did, but I don't understand it, but I'm going to move on. Get
Mm-hmm.
some clarification, because it's going to happen again. And that's the biggest thing. If you understand why we did something, why we enforced a penalty somehow, why we didn't enforce it this way, and
Mm-hmm.
now you understand it, that way when it comes up again, and like I said, it will, is you're able to then tell the coach the next time, and be prepared for those kind of things. So don't hold anything back. And there's no silly questions. There's, a lot of people will, not ask the questions because they're afraid or anything. Ask the questions. We do a lot of weird things in certain circumstances, and people handle it in very different ways. So just ask what's going on and get that clarification.
Cool. And you like on that one, if it happens in the first half, you'd say ask it at halftime during that talk. Like, why did we do this with that play?
Yep. Yeah. At halftime, make sure you get it in there, or at the end of the game. At some point, there's some things. Hey, if it's going to be something more than a little thing that could, there's some questions. Hey, during a timeout, you might be able to ask a question and get an answer. There's other questions. Hey, remind me after the game. Can we talk about this? And okay, yeah. And most of us should be more than willing to spend that time to get all that straightened out for you. And a lot of it is a learning experience for us as well. I mean, even though I've been doing it 23 years, it's amazing how much I learn. I'll say every single game I go to, I'm learning something. So if you ask me something that might be simple, it might spur something in me that, oh, that's something I got to think about for next time.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That reminds me, we've had the benefit of having you here in this meeting before in a little less formal of a way. And you went back and listened to our first meeting and had some comments about the rules discussion. And I really liked the way that you broke the rules down and kind of your interpretation of what we were talking about. Like, what are your tips for us to remember the rule, like to get to that point? Like, how did you get to that point of kind of breaking the rules down into your own simple language and like any pointers or hints for us on how to remember that stuff?
It's not easy, as you guys probably learned.
Mm.
So the rules
Mhm.
are not easy. They're very hard to get your mind wrapped around sometimes.
Yep.
One of the tips I was taught early on is find a way to rewrite the rule in your own language.
Mm.
So even just the general, and not like every single little step of it, but the general idea of it is, so what is the purpose of this rule? We have a rule, and if you read it word for word, you just go, what does that mean? And if you can take it and rewrite it, then suddenly it's going to start making more sense. The other thing is, as you get more experiences and you can actually apply it to an actual play, that's when it's truly going to make sense to you. Once you see it on the field, if you at least see it on film, which is why we do so much film study, because now all of a sudden those rules, if you can apply it to something and actually visually see it, now you go, oh, now it makes sense why we're enforcing from here, because it's going to be that place. The other thing is use whatever resources you can find. There's some great books out there. Katie, you said you ordered that one book?
Yeah.
The Reading Study Guide. I mean, it's my favorite book to go back to at both levels. And for those of you that don't know, so the Reading Study Guide comes in a big old book. So if you think about our little rule book, that's that thick. And then this guy that's going to come and help you, that's hundreds of pages. What it does is it really breaks everything down into simplified language and then gives examples. And then there's also some books like the simplified and illustrated version of the rules. So I end up getting a lot of those books and just as a resource, so that when I do run into a problem, if I'm on a test question, if I'm, why is it this way? And find a way to break it down. The other thing is just talking to people like this, having the study group where, as you've gone through rules, I'm sure there's things you may have even known the answer to the question, but as you discuss it with somebody, now all of a sudden it makes it more clear.
Yeah.
And so if you can talk to someone or talk someone through it, and as you keep advancing, as you start teaching the next officials, the younger officials, and you have to actually explain something, if you can explain it, now you really probably understand it or have a much better understanding. Even if you thought you knew it, when you have to try to explain it to somebody, you're going to learn a lot more about it.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, can you go up close and personal on that book again?
It's the Reading Study Guide.
Reading.
REDING. And I can send you where I got it through doublesdistributors.com. Double S.
I'll include it in the email after this meeting. I'll
Thank you.
Maybe we can bring it up in class on Wednesday and possibly make kind of like a group order for whoever's interested. It'd be a cool idea.
Yeah. But yeah, the best part about it takes every rule and really breaks it down and will give you an example, but it breaks it down, what I say, into plain English, which is very helpful to me. And that's what, like I said, if you can take the rule book and put it in your own words so that you're not memorizing or understanding the legal version of it, but the intent of the rule and that kind of thing, it's going to help you a long way.
Very cool. Yeah. When you broke that down for us the first time, I was like, it makes all the sense now. It didn't make any sense.
And a lot of it is the rule book is, I mean, it's very short and to the point, and you want that little extra, well, why? And that's what this book, the Reading Study Guide, really, okay, it's this way. And because we want to do this or that kind of thing.
Nice.
I have one last question. I'm gonna open up to everybody else. What is your like game week routine? We're about to have our first game. So what's your game week routine? Like, do you watch a ton of film? Do you do something else to prepare? Like, what does your prep week look like?
So Sunday is my film day. Because by then I've got the high school and my college game film that I'm breaking down. So usually while I'm watching NFL games, I'm watching my game film. And usually my goal is by Sunday night, I've sent out to my crew any issues that I see that I want to discuss through the week. And vice versa, they're sending me anything because they've had a chance to break everything down. It's also my day to get all my laundry and all my gear cleaned up and ready to go. There were some years where I was really bad about it and I'd be waiting, till Wednesday night to throw the gear in the washer and that type of things. I've gotten myself where Sunday, just get it all done, get it all packed away so that you're ready to go. Because by the time you get in the week and you get busy with things, and I do end up with a bag for Thursday, a bag for Friday, a bag for Saturday. That way it's all just, it's taken care of. I don't have to worry about it. All that stuff. And then Monday, throughout the day, Monday, it's usually a lot of texting back and forth or emails back and forth with the crew. Hopefully not the supervisor, but occasionally get the supervisor comments. And you got to deal with those issues that came up. But a lot of it is because we've shared the film now, it's going back, oh, take a look at this. What do you think about that? So throughout the day, I get a lot of that part going on. And usually Monday night, I'm picking one of the rule books to get into. Usually Monday and Tuesday nights are the nights where I will take a section of the rule book and just really dive into something and just beat it down. And a lot of times it's something that happened during one of the games that previous weekend where something came up and I just want to start by clarifying things, and then I'll just dig into a rule. And then Tuesday, it's making sure that I've got if I haven't done it already, that I'm preparing for the week. I'm going through the schedule. I know who I've got, writing up any pregame information I need to for everything. I'm sending out my emails to the crews of where we're meeting, what's just finalizing everything. So Tuesday is really that prep day of being ready to get out there on the field. And then Wednesday, because generally we're having our meetings every other Wednesday. I typically don't plan on a whole lot Wednesday. And then starting Thursday, usually now we're hitting games. So you get into the games, do what we need to do, and then through Friday and Saturday. Usually Thursday night I'll do some extra studying on the high school rules, and then usually it's getting up early Saturday morning and brushing up and getting my mind changed over to the college rules before heading out on a drive somewhere.
Cool.
When you're watching film on Sundays, are you just watching your old film or are you watching film for the next opponent?
I almost never watch any game film for the upcoming opponent. Everything I do is about myself and what I did the previous week. Mainly is I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get the crew better. I want to find out what's going on. In terms of looking forward and scouting is I want it doesn't, I feel if I put time in looking at video, I'm not getting much out of it. So to me, I'm wasting my time. I want to know the simple stuff. I want to know the two kids that on the team that are the outstanding guys. I want to know the guy that's making the most yardage So I want to find that one receiver that's going to catch most of the passes, or the running back. I want to know, looking at their stats, are they going to pass? Are they a passing team? Are they a running team? And a 5-minute call to the crew from the week before is, what are any tendencies, or who's that bad kid I've got to look out for, or who's the great kid that I need, make sure that our back judge finds that linebacker that he can go up to and take care of the team for him. But beyond that, from a scouting standpoint, I'm not going to get much out of, if I watch a couple hours of film, it's not going to help me any. I feel I'm going to be more prepared if I brush up and look at what I did wrong from last week. How can I improve my mechanics? Because in the grand scheme of things, if I know everything about a team, they may have changed. I've still got to work the game that comes to me. So I need to be more prepared for myself than get my mechanics in place, knowing what I should be doing. And if I look at what I did last week and how can I improve last week, I feel I'm better prepared for the next game.
Yeah, Muhammad kind of stole my thunder there, because I was getting ready to ask you that. Because I used to be I was a coach for like 20 years, and then, becoming a referee and transitioning over, especially like last year, I spent a lot more time trying to look at the players instead of paying attention to, being an official. And now this year, when I'm looking at film, I'm used to looking at film, and I'm trying to not focus so much on the players as much. I mean, yes, I want to make sure if I'm a flank, I'm looking at my position, but I just want to pay attention to how, like you said, I want to be better or get better at what I'm doing, and not focus on it. It's a lot better this season, the way I'm approaching it. And I know back when you guys didn't have huddle.
Yep.
So when you were first coming up, how was your transition as a second year coming through?
We didn't have huddle. So, I mean, we had to rely on, an observer, or, whoever was on the field with us, trying to watch the game and trying to help us out. The way we did huddle at the time is we took a VHS tape to the game, took it to the press box, and in a padded envelope with my address on it, and said, please make a copy of the game film and send it to me. And you might get one of those back a year to take a look at.
Wow.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. Most of them, they go, okay, whatever. It would just end up in the corner somewhere. I got a couple of them back. So yeah, I had a couple VHS tapes that I would run through. So yeah, the game film's great. I mean, like I said, I'll break it down. When I break down my game film, generally I'll watch through the game. I'll usually have, 4 or 5 plays that I've written down during the game that I either want to see what the result was, something that I know we either messed up on or did we mess up on. So there's kind of plays I'm kind of looking for, but for the most part, I'm just going through the game looking for things that jump out at me. And I kind of go through fairly quickly. And when something jumps out that either is a mechanic issue or, what did we miss there? Guys on the ground, I'll stop, take a look at it, maybe mark it up. And then I'll go back and I'll watch it for myself and watch my position and go, what did I do? What did I not do? And go from there.
Okay.
So like I said, going to the scouting side of things, I think it's easier to, most schools at the high school level, you're going to have one or two kids that are the great receivers on the team, or that are catching and making 80% of the yards. So if hey, it's number 5 that's on that team, and you're the flank, and you got number 5 is on your side, he's your initial responsibility. Guess what? There's a good chance it's coming to you. If you read pass, hey, I need to be on it. If number 5 is on the other side of the field, you can go into it saying, hey, there's a good chance that ball's not coming my way. So what do I have to think? And that something as simple as that, as opposed to spending an hour watching what the team's going to do what you think they're going to do for the next week, I think can get you a lot farther.
Brian, kind of what
one
you
more
were,
question. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
so I was just
Go
gonna say,
ahead.
kind of what you were saying right there, just how to, to maybe you going back like 23 years, maybe only 22 or 21 years. But with being a second year official now, how long did it take you to kind of start building that, whatever you want to call it, like wide vision, soft vision, that read vision where you started feeling comfortable where you were seeing everything? Because like even we were doing a lot of back judging during the scrimmage. I remember there was one point where I was watching from the back really close, and then Ryan, Dave's back judge, was like, "Oh, did you see that hold?" And I was like, "Dang, I didn't see that." I was like, he's like, "Yeah, it happened right there." But anyway, I was just wondering how long did it take you to kind of develop that where you started feeling really comfortable, I guess?
But I felt really comfortable. I mean, the part where I was comfortable and could actually pick up a lot of that, I mean, it was probably about 6 or 7 years, to be honest.
Okay.
It doesn't come easy, and a lot of it depends on where you are. If you are in one position, if you're going to work head linesman for the next 3 years, yeah, it's probably going to come a little faster.
Mhm.
As you bounce around, I think it probably is a lot easier now that we have as much film as we do, because we can talk about things, we can go back and look at things. Because I'll tell you that there's still games where I'll come off the field and go, "Oh yeah, I saw everything. I know I nailed that play right," and I'll look at the film and go, "I can't believe I missed that right over there." But that's where the learning comes in. It's like, oh, okay, if they're going to do this, I need to get in my position so I can see this. The whole soft eyes thing, I became a back judge fairly quickly. And it was when I became a back judge, you've got to train your eyes, because you're the one person on the field that knows what happened every single play. You're the only person out there, only official that's going to know the entire thing. You have the entire view of the field. But you need to actually see the entire field most of the time. So, you have your initial responsibility, but if you stay on that, if you key in on that too much, then yeah, you're going to miss a lot of things. So I did learn pretty quickly through that of getting just that soft eyes. It's something that when I was working up to become a referee, it took a long time to get that, because as a referee, you're looking at the snap, you got the snap, you got a quarterback, you have that anyone in the backfield, and then trying to look at the line play. There's a lot going on, and I'll be honest, those first couple of games as a referee, I missed a lot of stuff, and you're going to, but it'll start. It starts to click in little chunks at a time, and all of a sudden you go, "Oh, I saw that. And once it does, it makes it so much easier, because then your eyes do relax a little bit better, and you know what you're looking at. But a lot of it too is it takes practice. I would say, like during pregame, if anyone's out there on a field and you're with them, so during pregame, I watch a lot of stuff, and what I'll do is I'll go and key in on someone, as the receivers are practicing. Well, I'll watch the receivers, but I'll tell myself, what hand did he catch that ball with? What was his first foot that went down after he caught that ball? Did his foot come down on the right side or the left side of that line on the ground? And then you start backing up a little bit, and you just kind of open your eyes and go, okay, can I look over a little bit away from him and still answer those same questions? And you've got to practice it, because eventually it will become natural to you. It just happens. But it takes a lot of practice. A lot of snaps. And that's the biggest thing. Anytime you can get a snap, get a snap. So when you guys go out and work these scrimmages, work them. Work them as if they're a real game. If they're out there practicing, if you got a team practicing 45 minutes before a game, you should be out there watching them take their snaps, because every one of those snaps is going to get you there faster.
Kind of like what Jeff was speaking on. One of my biggest issues last season was moving too fast, right? Being on top of the play, stuff like that. For you, I mean, now, I mean, Dave is really like instilling in us about giving that wide vision, like Jeff was talking about, and slowing things down. But is there sometimes is it being too slow? You know, like getting, or you know what I'm saying? Or
I'm going to say in your mind, no, you can never go too slow because it's
Okay.
no matter how slow you think you're going, you can slow down.
Okay,
You can
Yeah.
always, there is no reason to go extra fast to get to anything.
Right.
You know, unless you're trying to break something up or something, you know, you get there. But most plays, if you can relax,
Mhm.
you know, a lot of people will have the happy feet because hey, I got to move, and you
Yeah.
know, as the play starts going, let it happen. Let that runner come past you in front of you. You trail the play. Once they're down, once they're down and you have a spot, if you're trying to get to the spot's not going to move. You know where it is. If you come up and nice and slow, you can watch all the action around. You can get your voice out and still get up to that spot. If you're trying to get there quick or too quick, then you've got other things going on. You may not see all the action. You may not see the extra stuff coming around the pile. Those kind of things. So getting up slow, anytime you're going slow, it also gives you that chance if you need to make any, if you're going to give a signal or something, it gives you that extra couple seconds to make sure, are you giving the right signal? What did I just see? You know, things like if someone just scored a touchdown, if you go up immediately, or if you wait 2 seconds, doesn't matter. But your brain can say, hey, did he actually cross the line? Did his knee go down first? You can run that through back through your head, as opposed to he went over the line, I'm going to put my hands up. You know, if you can slow yourself down to looking for your help too at that point, at those critical points, you know, is it something you need to look into the umpire to make sure we got a catch before you signal something? What you have, is there someone that can help you on something? So anytime you can slow down, and going fast is just going to get you in trouble, no matter what part of the game, whether it's moving somewhere, trying to enforce penalties. You need to be efficient, but if you're moving fast, it's going to get you in trouble.
You got to remember, the faster you move into something, you close your window.
Yeah.
The closer you get, the shorter your window gets.
The other thing, you know, if you're going to throw
Like
your
a back judge, you just want to stay and look.
if you're going to throw your flags, you have a penalty. If you give it that extra second before you pull the flag out, and just confirm with yourself, what did I just see? Instead of just, you saw it, throw your flag. Again, it's just going to take the reps and the practice out there to get to that point. And the level of the game too is where that happens. As you guys have all seen, probably working a youth game now is going to be easier than it was last year. And what you'll see is as you get up, eventually the youth games are going to be very slow to you at some point. And that's where, so it's at the lower level games, once that game has started slowing down for you as a whole, that it makes it easier for you to slow down. It makes your vision patterns easier. Whereas, you know, a varsity, you know, a top varsity game, the game itself is a fast-paced game. So you've got to find ways where it does slow down.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Any other questions?
My questions are for complete different subject. We're talking off season and we're barely getting into the on season. So I'll wait to ask my questions. Till the end.
Ask away. What do you got?
Ask away. Why hold it back?
You know, it's irrelevant. We're about to, you know, get
Nothing is
No.
irrelevant.
Again,
The whole point of this.
no, there's no silly
Come
questions.
on, out with it.
have a more, you know, appropriate questions to the time since season's starting this week. So I'll ask after.
Right.
The mystery of Mohammed.
I'll answer right now. Okay, this is regarding our off season. So you know how we have our meetings set up and how this second year class has been growing pretty strong, and we've been pretty active in participating, going over the rules and basically on field mechanics and whatnot. We're trying to keep this going on a yearly basis. Obviously, next year we won't be in the second year class, and hopefully we'll be in the certified group. And we want to kind of evolve this and make it an off-season group for anyone that's willing to want to participate. Now, my question to you is, what do you feel is important and should be addressed and should be practiced? And yeah, basically, what are your thoughts on that?
Number one, I think it's amazing what you guys have been doing. Like I've told Katie, is what you're doing is great. One of the best ways to get going and learn is you need a study group of some kind. And I would say no matter what level you're doing of officiating, somehow find a study group, and you guys have a great one right now. So getting together to go over the questions is the top thing, because what it does is it just keeps it fresh in your head. My off season, essentially, like when I hit January, I don't do anything football related through the month of January, because I'm so exhausted, my brain needs a rest at that point. But usually starting in February, I will start a study group of some kind, where we meet up and we're going through questions. And I think the biggest thing is just to keep things rolling through the year, because what you don't want to do is start picking up, last month and start, it's time to study for the rules tests. If you can get your mind rolling early like that, and then and talk about stuff, watching the game film, watching at the end of this year, you guys are going to have a whole library of your own film to go back and look at. But I think some of it is just, like I said, getting together and getting other people's opinions in there. Like this, inviting someone that's done something or you saw something, but getting together to talk over stuff and put it out loud, because you can sit there and read a book and take a test all day long. But again, as soon as you start discussing it with people, that's where it's going to stick.
Right.
Yeah, and I think what you should do is write down stuff that happens during the season. So something you can take to the off season to where you can start working on it for the next season. And that's some of the stuff that you can do during the off season, maybe, and think about that type of stuff. And that way you can just sit there and go, okay, now this happened to me during the course of the season. How can I do it to change it to the next season? There's always something new that you can learn. There's always something that, you guys are getting together all the time and so forth. You can go over that. Once again, during the season, you should be able to share a couple of plays, like on Sundays, like we're doing now, that you can sit there and ask questions and so forth, and check with everybody in your group. And then you have guys like Brian and I that will come on to the session and give you our opinion of how to cover the play. So you still get plenty of resources and so forth. I would just write stuff down. I mean, I do too all the time, write stuff down. You guys saw the list of my pregame, right? That right there, that's 24 years of stuff that I write down that's happened to me during the course of the seasons that I've been a referee. And that's what you guys got when you guys asked me for the email. That's what you guys are getting, is 24 years of being a crew chief.
And I think some of it is finding the way to mix things up too. It's taking the rules. So like the last couple of years is I get a group of guys and I call it the Rules and Brews group, and we go to different breweries every other week and meet up and go over the rules. And the way I'll do it is I'll ask them, I'll say, okay, what are the important ones for you right now? And so, I'll have someone bring up a rule, and that we've had full on 2-hour, 3-hour meetings where we take essentially one question and then do the what if. So,
Mhm.
you know, I can take, especially if you get into a kicking question or something, you can take one question. Okay, so that's how that one is. Now, what if this happened? What if this happened? What if this happened? And again, the
Mm.
more you guys see out there, you're going to be able to contribute and go, oh, but what if this, you know, what if they don't do that? And finding ways to just take things and tweak stuff. And just, like I said, it literally is just getting out there and keeping something going, finding a way to keep it going.
Hey, yeah, Brian, as far as conditioning for yourself, I I know last year I kind of took it for granted. You know, as being a coach, I just would be you know, I'm just pretty much directing everybody else to do things, right? But you know, last season I found out real quick that, you know, that I had to figure out something here because I was having all kind of like pains and, you know, muscles that I didn't know I had, you know, and everything running around. So, I mean, for you, conditioning wise, what is your, you know, what kind of regimen do you have for yourself?
The biggest thing I do is I don't do a lot of conditioning. I'll be honest. It is like get as the season comes up. My work, I'm out in the field a lot. I'm outside a lot, so I get my steps in and that kind of thing. But once we hit football season, a lot of it is trying to figure out during the week. It's the hydrating. I mean, I know now that we're in football season. I mean, I'm sitting here right now drinking, you know, my body armor, water to keep it going. Knowing that, you know, you can't wait till Thursday to start making sure you're hydrated. Especially like last season, and last season was rough. I mean, I worked the most games I'd ever worked in my career last year. I think it was just under 70 games that I did as a total. So, you know, if you just have a Thursday and then a Friday doubleheader, okay. And then, you know, the Thursday, you know, last year I had some Thursday doubleheader, a Friday doubleheader, you know, some youth games in the morning and a college game at night. So yeah, by Sunday I was exhausted. And it's not just the physical exhaustion, it's mentally. To be able to get your head through some of these games, you're going to find there's going to be some games where physically you don't even feel it necessarily, but you're just exhausted because you've been through so much in your head through that game. And it wears on you. So you know, you need to plan for that sleep and nutrition. And what are you eating during the day of the game and between games if you have multiple games? I found was because were some times where, you know, hey, I have a double header and I'm good, I don't need anything. And now I started to realize, hey, between games, hey, you know, find what works for you. I think it was 2 years ago, one of the guys, things like the Uncrustables. I'll tell you, that became like go-to crew between game snack because it was the perfect thing to get you that little bit of energy, have a little bit of something and go. But you need to be prepared to get out there. I think, I mean, like I said, I don't do necessarily, I'm not hitting the gym. I'm not going out and running miles or anything as we get ready, but I definitely, I have been eating better, you know, the last 2 months now as I knew football season was coming to shed a couple pounds to get ready. And it truly is getting to know that, okay, I'm going to have 3 days a week. I'm going to be kicking my butt. There are the days, you know, where I make sure that I get my jacuzzi turned on and I'll go out there and after, you know, when I get home at night or whatever and sit in the jacuzzi and get the everything feeling good. Whatever you need for the, you know, cramps that come up or anything, I do use, I've started wearing like compression socks now. So the day of a game, I'll wear compression socks all day. and it's gotten rid of any kind of cramping issues I've had. So there's
Oh.
something like that do help out. Any kind of things like the BioFreeze or something that you're gonna be able to put on those sore muscles.
Yeah.
I carry it in my bag.
Why?
So basically you need to find a way and throughout the week, and usually what it is, it's like usually about week 3 where all of a sudden your body starts going, oh, it's, starting to be a little achy, and then you kind of work through it. And then it's usually like that around week 9 or 10 that all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, when's the season gonna end? It's hard. It's hard on your body. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
As, especially as I've been getting older now.
Yeah.
But I think mentally getting into as much as you can and being prepared for and acknowledging, hey, if you've got issues, find a way to get them taken care of.
Good stuff. Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
It's 4th down, incomplete pass. Are you starting the ball on a new line, or had to ask?
No.
No, I want to put it where it should be. I know in the past, was about 2 years ago that started coming in. Last year we started really hearing about it. And there were a couple of games where I yelled at my guys because they had stuff in the wrong place. I knew where we ended. I knew where we should be on the next down. A lot of it is that chain crew. It's getting that it's work. The chain crew, that difference of a foot on a chain crew, most of them aren't even going to put it in the right chain in the right place to begin with. But just the spots overall is, there were times, we went years where half the time the ball wasn't even, it was going to be put on a line regardless. So, it took us, I'll be honest, it took me a while just to get used to that of, hey, we're spotting it in the valley, we're putting it where it needs to go. I think you're seeing it all levels now of, let's put it where it needs to be.
And one thing I recently heard, it might have been Don who told us, where on that 4th down incompletion, that's where we'll start it in the valley. We'll start it where it belongs, and then after that, every driver starting on a big line afterwards, just to keep it clean. But I think he said on kicks and on, was it kicks? Does anyone remember?
After a kick, I want it on a line.
Yeah.
It better be on a line.
Changes the possession as well.
Yeah. Change in general, change possession. I want it on a line. If we can put it on a big line on a kick, then it's even better.
Sure.
But it should be on a line. There's no reason to not put it on a line coming out of the kick. But especially on that chain, on those 4th down change of possessions, part of it's a matter of pride. Half the time the chains are gone or doing something not in the right place. I think overall, I think there's a lot of people that just on a regular incomplete pass, if we're bringing it back, I'll see people move it around and put it somewhere different than where it should have been to begin with. Because they're not going right back to the stake, or the stake is moved. I know, like if we do have the stake in the valley, but then they come back on 2nd down after an incompletion, and now suddenly it's on a line. We cheated them somehow. One way or the other, we cheated one team. So it is something I do get on my headlinesman now to make sure it gets in the right place. I get on my umpire to make sure that they're spotting the ball in the right place. A lot of it comes down to also with that umpire is where they're spotting it. What position is the ball after that incomplete pass too? I think there's a lot of times we're putting it in the wrong place because we're either going too fast, so we're just getting it back and setting it down, or just not thinking about where it is.
umpire question.
Yep.
Incomplete pass, the ball's on in area 5, right hash. 4th down, incompletion. Is the ball placed in that same exact location, or is it gone? Okay.
Coming back to where it was.
All right, any other questions? Been great. Okay. Next up for tonight, we had talked about doing, so in the votes you guys all did, pre-snap routines was one of the things that came up as a popular topic. And since we're going into week 1, figured we go through those. So I went through it. Let me share my screen. I went through and pulled the recommended pre-snap routines out of the mechanics manual. So now you guys have an easy place to look for it. But I also thought maybe we'd go through it for the 4 positions we'll get assigned. So sorry, Dave, we're not going to go through your pre-snap routine for R. But go through the 4 positions we'll get assigned and kind of look at what the mechanics manual tells us to do, and then see if there's anything additional we want to add or we want to talk about. Question though for the group, as we went into our scrimmages, like how many of you wrote down your pre-snap routine for your position?
I've got it in like a jingle.
In a jingle? I love
It goes
that.
Yeah.
decaf triple D locks triple AO. And I've been doing it since last year. I got it memorized now, but yeah.
I love
Hold
it.
on. Can you say that again?
It's first it's D, dead ball officiate. So then confirm clock, accordion, first down, then down distance, down line indicator, then line to gain, observe, confirm, signal, anticipate play, anticipate signal, anticipate ineligible downfield, and observe. Decaf triple day locks triple AO.
Love it.
I love it. That's awesome, Jeff.
Do what it takes.
Yeah.
I have like these cheat sheets that I make. I carry them with me. I mean, I have most of it memorized, but in case I'm ever like, wait, what was that again? No.
Mhm.
It's like a
Happy to share it if you ever want to, but I don't know. To Brian's point, I make these things where they work in my mind. I don't know if they'll necessarily work in someone else's mind because my mind works really twisted. So
Yeah.
That's all that matters, is find a way that works for you, and
And
you'll hear other things. And like I said, grab bits and pieces and make something that works for you. So,
But to be honest, I took it right out of the mechanics manual, and then I just had a lot of sentences in front of me, and then I try to make like acronyms and meme or like jingles for everything I ever memorize in life. And
Yeah.
so did you find yourself actually going through it in that order on the field?
yeah, I do, and that's in my mind. It's set like that, and that's what that's what I always try to work through.
Thanks.
You have one for back judge?
No, not even close to that yet. But I started putting some stuff together, and I have a bunch of lines together, and I'm like, initially I wrote the first letters out, and I'm like, I don't even know where to go with this one, but I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah. That was my hard time for the scrimmage. I wrote it down, but it was like, it's only like 8 things. I know I need to add more in here. So I'm going to be adding to that.
But is there anything that you felt you were missing, or that you didn't want in there that you were doing?
There's nothing that I didn't want. And some of it was hard to check because we weren't running clock. So a lot of it had to do with like checking the clock. I have to be a lot more cognizant of that at back judge. I think I need to add stuff in around flags, like covering flags, because I missed that in the scrimmage. So there's definitely things I'm adding to it since the scrimmages, but and then I'm gonna look at this one, make sure I got it. Like there's other stuff in there.
Yeah, you should have written stuff down from the scrimmages, like Don Sutter said, that you got to write down 2 or 3 things that you want to work on every game. And you should be doing that type of stuff. And you should want to have 3 or 4 plays that you want to look at, after your first game. Like Brian Sutter said, he looks at about 5. I think I looked at about 5 or 6. And I actually gauged by the crowd and the coach's reaction. When the coaches sit there, there was a fair catch signal and the crew doesn't catch it, I kind of look at it just to see if there was a fair catch signal. And if there wasn't, I just sit there going, oh, well, there was no signal. We got it right. 95% of the time, Probably more than that. 98% of the time we get it right.
All right, any other comments about pre-snap before we kind of start going through these position by position?
Mhm.
And I looked at who we have on, and I think we've got folks for we got umpires, flanks, and back judges, so go through all of them. So umpires showing you some love. Start with you first. I know
As we
absolutely
should.
all I know about umpires what Ed covered in class a few weeks ago, so I have nothing to add here. But those umpires on the call, anything you want to add here, things that stand out as like really, really important, or things that
One thing I would love to add to the umpires there is, to me, it would be the first step is to let the referee know what happened.
Yep.
The result of the play.
Result of the play.
Because us referees have no idea, especially on a passing play, we have no idea 80% of the time what happened.
Mm.
And so if you can say incomplete, catching a first down, whatever, if you can give us something, it's huge.
And
Generally,
dead ball officiating should be in there too.
Mm.
Yeah, referees don't know anything, so that's one of the great things about Andy at the scrimmages. He was always telling the umpires, "Hey, you got to tell Dave what's going on," and it's just something that you have to do because, like Brian says, we're more worried about the quarterback and the action around the quarterback than we are anything downfield. So
and that is that just like shouting it out, or is it radio?
oh yeah, no, Andy
Yell-
just yells at me.
Just yelled at you? First
Oh
down,
yeah.
lead it back.
No respect at all for referees, but yeah, he just yells at me. You just sit there and goes, incomplete. Or he'll say, Dave is complete. And then I just got to look to see where I got to run to.
generally for me, it was like a more of a like just looking over my shoulder and barking at the referee as I'm running towards the pile.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Andy and I were yelling at the same time at the scrimmage, and then he just stopped yelling when I was in there. So I think I'm doing okay.
So I was getting the double whammy from the both of them. So
Extra love, as always, extra love. All right, anything else?
I think the big thing for the umpire, like here, because I've written down my pre-snap 6 or 7 times and then changed it completely, pretty much 6 or 7 times. But I've got one for 4-man, 5-man, youth. They're all a little bit different. But I mean, this is pretty. I think this is okay. I mean, I don't. This is right out of the book.
It is
So,
exactly out of the book. I just copy and pasted it.
is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Why,
mean,
why does the umpire need to know about feet and ball?
I was just gonna ask that one.
I had a
Yeah.
question on that too, but I just copied
I
it.
don't think that pertains to the umpire at all. What do you think, Brian?
I would not, there's nothing the umpire can contribute to that.
Right.
yeah, no, I don't know about feet, but I understand ball, right? Because that's once we go through our count and we make sure ineligibles are on the line, we key in on the ball, and then we kind of have a wide vision for the guard center guard. But as
Well,
far
that's
as
a
feet
snap.
go, well, yeah,
Yeah,
at
but
the
that's a
snap.
snap. That's different.
But I don't know feet. I don't really look at people's feet.
Well,
No, this is an out of bounds play is what we're
That's an
talking
out of
about.
Yeah,
And umpires don't have an out of bounds call.
no, we don't.
So that's why the feet and then ball doesn't make sense.
the
under an
only thing
umpire.
you might be able to help on if you spin around is was there a completed catch?
Yeah, but that's after the snap.
Yeah.
I mean, ball's got to be in the air for that to happen. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I will say
And
when I was copying this, I was wondering about this one.
Yeah, it's no longer initial keys, it's responsibilities now.
Where's that one?
It's just under the yellow. Just look under the yellow.
Hey, Katie, I have a
Reserved
copy
for
of
legal
Ed Blick's. I can email to you if you like and put
What
it
was
in.
that?
I have a copy of Ed Blick's pre-snap routine for umpire.
Oh, yeah.
I could email that
great.
to you.
Actually, you can just add it. Just, you can maybe just add it below this if you want, or you can email it to me and I'll add it, but if you want to just add it into the sheet. I think you
I don't
should.
have it access right now. It's
No?
on a different account.
Okay, well, just email it to me. I'll add it in.
Okay.
One of the comments, though, whoever that was, that talked about changing there and having the multiple pre-snap, it's gonna happen. That thing is gonna change on a regular basis for you. It might change depending on what the game is. If it's a really fast-paced game, you're gonna have to find a way to break it down
Yeah.
to get through the crucial part. So one of the things to think about is what are your high priority things that have to get done every play.
Okay, so to Brian's point, look at Grossmont and their offense that we had to deal with. They were on the ball and ready to go. They were ready to go, and Andy was starting to spot the ball so they can get the offense that they wanted to work. And you got to make adjustments to that. We can't slow down the offense. And that's one of the things that you gotta look into with Grossmont. So when you get a Grossmont game, you see the scrimmage, how they did it. That's where you got to pick up your pace a little bit,
Mhm.
and then you'll be tired at the end of the night.
Cool. All right. Move us to headlines in. Again, straight out of the book.
Oh, bull.
Status accordion. I wonder how this matches to yours, Jeff.
Oh, it matches pretty close because I took mine
You
straight
took
out
it
of the
straight
book.
from the
Like
book.
I said, my first three were CAF, calf, confirm, accordion. Then, I didn't include the assist in relaying the game. There's some things where I'm just like I know it's an obvious. I don't, so it's not necessarily built in, but on the same note, maybe that's not good to do that. But then number 4 goes to the F part. But mine probably almost matches up almost to this, pretty close.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man.
Once again, you might probably put dead ball officiating again. And then we need to know the location of the pass versus the line of scrimmage. Or neutral zone, I guess I should say.
What did you say? The location?
No, the location of the pass versus the neutral zone.
You mean backwards forward?
Well,
No,
no, the
whether the
pass
ball
is
crossed the
beyond or behind.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Wait, but this wouldn't be pre-snap, that would be post-snap.
Yeah, some of these things, yeah.
Yeah,
Fine line between what's going through in your pre-snap.
that's true.
Is there a line?
during the
Is
game.
it all one fluid thing?
But along those lines, it's something you may need to coordinate with the back judge, because the back judge may have a question. If they had a possible OPI, they may be asking you what that question on that from the previous.
Yeah.
So it's something you may need to work out with the back judge during pregame of, what questions are they going to ask you? Make sure that however they ask you, whether it's with hand signals or a voice, and are they going to ask you, was it beyond or behind? And you being able to tell them what it was.
On the subject of headlinesmen, but not necessarily on the subject of pre-snap, remind me at some point to suggest that in the next year's scrimmage, we move those who are in line somewhere further away from the guys who are in. There's nothing like trying to spot the ball and looking up and seeing a sea of stripes all standing on the line. So
It's just extra
That's true.
challenging for you.
Thank you.
Brian, may I ask a question for clarification?
Sure.
It's in regard to bullet number 10. It says use your upfield foot to indicate the back of the ball to the receiver So let me give you the scenario.
Mm,
You're at the 20
mm.
going in, Brian, and we're straddling the big 20. Is the upfield foot the foot that's closest to the nearest end zone, or is it the one that's to the rear facing the offense?
To the rear, to the offense.
Right.
I would think that would mean the backfield foot.
Yeah.
I was confused about that.
We're gonna use- That the downfield foot is the one that's going to be further in the direction that the offense is going.
So if they're going off that foot, then they're lined up in the neutral zone.
They're not lined up in the wrong place here.
So I totally jacked up both the first and the second year classes because I kept saying, use your upfield foot, right? Because I knew that term, but
Well,
I didn't
We
realize.
fixed it. We fixed it, Tony. We're okay.
but to give to the receiver, yes. If you're giving it to the umpire for spotting the ball, it's going to be your downfield.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, no, we fixed it.
And we appreciate you, Tony.
Yeah.
You helped us.
Hey, we missed you, Tony. I'm glad you're back this year.
Thanks, Dave. I'm so happy to be back. So thank you for the warm welcome.
One thing I want to add for this is for number 2, bullet 2. It's regarding changes in the box. To get some verbal communication going with the box man on every play, just to confirm that what down you have is what down is on the box, so you're not turning and looking, not turning your head, keeping your eyes on the field.
Yeah. Last year I would make a joke during my part of my talk with the chain crew. I'd find out who the box person was, and then I'd make a joke. I'd be like, hey, if I don't have to look at you, then you make me look good and I need to look good this game. So that's on you. So just trying to build in a little rapport of I'm gonna be talking to you the whole game. I'm relying on you to help me look good. You're a big part of this game here. And that usually helped because then they were they were motivated to kind of keep with it.
Until you get a Balboa Pop Warner game.
I had some interesting chain crews, but typically I'd find the most responsible. I have sort of do a quick assessment of the crew and be like, you look like the most responsible person. I'm gonna have you be on my box. Cool. Anything else to add to the headlinesman? This is good. Yeah. All right. Line judge, similar.
I guess for number 1, is that also specifically talking about using your little wrist timer?
That's what I was thinking.
That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah. Thanks for asking that, because I was thinking of giving me an answer.
Yeah, and just to let you know, line judges that keep the time on the field has
Yes.
saved our rear ends in many games. Many games. And when you got a line judge just keeping time on there and it's pretty close, and we don't expect it to be exact, but if it's pretty close, we don't slow down the game when you're gonna run into fields where the clock will just go out on you. It'll just go out, and there's nothing better than the line judge sitting there going, I got the time, we can keep going. And we just turn to the coaches and say, hey, we're going to keep the clock on the field until we get the game clock back on the scoreboard. And then once we get the dead ball, at any dead ball, then we go ahead and reset the clock and get things going again. So it's really critical in game tempo.
All right, I have to ask now. Line judge keeping the official time on the field, and we have a teacher or a parent taking the timer up in the booth. If this guy's distracted or he's constantly off by 1 or 2 seconds on every play, basically how often are we going to be correcting it? Or are we going to do like the soccer thing where at the end we're going to say add
No.
17 seconds
No, the line judge usually keeps an eye on it and make sure that we're at a steady pace. Usually it works out.
Sure.
But,
There's a
you know,
discrepancy. Is the line judge correcting his timer to be
no,
closer?
he goes to the referee and the referee corrects it.
Okay.
But
And
if
go ahead, Brian.
it's a second or two, I'm not gonna worry about
Right.
it.
Yeah.
We want it to be, basically it's those big differences. And part of it is when is it happening in the game? If they don't stop the clock and it runs an extra 10 seconds and be early in the first quarter,
Mhm.
doesn't really matter that much. If we're near the end of the second quarter and it runs an extra 10 seconds, it's probably going to matter.
All right. First quarter, it runs an extra 10 seconds. Is line judge correcting his timer?
Yep. And let me know
Yep.
about it.
Got it. Hey, this guy stinks, but we're gonna correct it.
Yep.
Got it.
Because that just means that we all need to be more watching that clock, and are we all signaling to stop it at the right time?
Mhm.
Are they starting it at the right time as well?
Got it.
Generally, yeah. I mean, that flux, and by the time you get to your wrist to stop it, I mean, you're not going to be at, someone's going to be off. We're not going to be right on. It's going to be a plus and minus of some seconds throughout the game. But the biggest thing is, we don't want that clock to just start running.
I think in our semifinal game, we reset the game clock probably a dozen times.
Wow.
And he was the timer from our association.
Dave or Brian, have you guys ever gone up and like replaced a timer at halftime because like you stink, you're
Yes.
gone?
Or just told them to turn it off at that point.
Yeah, turn it
Oh,
off.
okay. Yeah.
I mean,
We don't like to turn it off, but
we don't want to, because we want it up there. We want the people to see it. But if it becomes distracting, or if there's games where you're going to be taken out of the game because of the clock,
right.
and we don't want that. So
It's very frustrating to a referee to watch the game clock run and you're like shaking your head. Why are we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So
the other thing I would say in here is a lot of these things, if it's verbal, I like to hear it too. So, when you're saying things like, the down and distance and knowing the line of the game, I've got crews where the guys are talking to themselves, to each other, going, hey, line of gains to 17. When I hear that verbally, it's great. When someone's checking the status of the clock and I hear an umpire, say out loud, if my back's to it, we're at 3:52 and running. That's great, because all those little bits and pieces, what I tell my crew out there is, say whatever you want to say. If I need it, I'll take it. Other than that, I'll hear that it's there. And if I don't care at that point, then great. But when I start hearing all that out there, it to me, it makes me very happy, because I know, number one, I know what's going through their head at that point. But it gives me that extra little bit of where do we need to get for a first down type thing.
Mhm.
This is all done with the O2O, right?
No.
Oh.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Most of it's just verbal, especially the line judge. I want my line judge to be the loudest person on the field, because at the end of a play, I'm going to hopefully hear my umpire tell me something.
First down.
And then I want my
Mhm.
line judge to be telling me what's happening.
Mhm.
It's close. It's close.
Yeah.
All that stuff is huge. Because if I hear that, if I hear first down, we're good. We're moving. We're picking them up and going.
All right, anything else on this one?
That was a good one.
Now the new one, back judge.
There's that,
14
back
and
jump.
change.
Yeah.
Which they haven't figured out in college yet, right, Brian?
Dead ball officiate.
Those are three I picked up.
Yeah, Katie,
Yeah.
shouldn't we all be documenting penalties?
Yes, but the back judge is responsible for it.
Yeah.
Okay, responsibility, okay.
I just had a meeting today.
And the back,
Okay.
on my crew, the back judge is definitely gonna take care of my penalties and the umpires' penalties.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think the Badgers does them all. I think they've done them all in the past.
They're
They
gonna,
usually have a recorder, which is probably the quickest and easiest way.
wow.
Yeah.
I know my back judge in college has it on a recorder, and then they start recording the penalties on our way home. And by the time we get to the house, they've emailed me the penalty information so I can send it to the coaches.
I've got a little card, and Katie, I'll send it to you, the form that I use. Because basically it's got everything, so you can circle who threw it and what it is. So it just makes it really easy.
That's-
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Cool.
I know when I was a back judge, yeah, I was always keep everyone's penalties.
Yeah,
Quick question for confirmation on here. Is Dave, is there a difference between the hack and the ready for play signal? It's the same thing, isn't it?
It's the same thing. We like
Okay.
to use ready for play. Hack is kind of a,
And
but
Yeah, part of it with the 40-25, it's a weird thing because you'll still see terminology of ready for play, but there's not always a ready for play on every play necessarily.
right.
The ball after the play ends, the ball, and once it's set down, it is ready for play.
in the back judge should, if we got any stoppage at the time where we're going back to 25 seconds, the back judge should be raising his hand at the same time the referee raises his to hack it in. That way verifying, that we're ready to run the 25-second play clock. Because otherwise the referee won't know. The referee knows on a 40-second because it happens at the dead ball.
Hmm.
But we won't know unless the back judge, we wouldn't know, but the back judge doesn't raise his arm. We wouldn't know. And be lenient on the play clock. We don't want delays.
Yes, definitely. Ryan made that pretty clear. Well, which is a good point, definitely.
Especially not in scrimmages.
Hmm.
That was painful. That was painful to watch.
Don't worry, he got a lot of boos and ribbing from the umpire group when he did it.
Good.
Wait, to ask this question, Dave, about number 5, raising the hand to indicate that we are ready to go so the referee knows to hack. What happens if we've set the 40-second play clock and for some reason the ball didn't get spotted in a timely manner? Do you as the referee see that and see that, hey, we've gone to 20 seconds without spotting the ball, so now we need to reset the play clock to 25? Do you do that and then make that motion?
No, the back judge does. Back judge just there you go. We didn't get the ball placed down soon enough,
Mm-hmm.
and she requests the referee to back up the play clock to 25.
Will the back judge just be doing the one arm,
Yeah,
the one arm?
he'll do the
Just pump
signal
it,
like
right.
this, pump it up,
Mhm.
and then the referee will pump up,
And then once the referee pumps, that's the confirmation to reset that thing.
reset. And so
Okay.
once the flank officials see that, especially on offense, they should tell their coach, we just restarted the 25-second clock.
Okay, got it.
All right.
It very rarely happens, by the way. So that's kudos to the crew to getting the ball back to the
Mhm.
umpire to get it set. I think I've only done it once since the 25-second clock came in. So I think it's a lot of kudos to the officials of getting the ball back.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on this one?
Could I ask a general mechanics question since we got through these and since we were talking about umpire and flank officials and it's related to something we were talking about there, but especially with some of the umpires' initial responsibilities and with the flanks initial responsibilities from a receiver perspective, but then we're watching the tackle to see what the tackle does, obviously. At that point, then when the flanks take initial responsibilities, do the flanks have any responsibilities at that point to then watch any, like their tackle or anyone on the offensive lineman for any kind of holding or anything like that? Or is that completely on the referee and the umpire at that point?
Well, we go to zone, right?
Right, we do get, yes.
So then you're going to go to zone. If it actually goes your way, it's going to go zone 1. The umpire, depending on which side of the referee is standing, the referee or umpire will have zone 2. The referee or umpire will have zone 3, and the off official will have zone 4. So we'll all have zones. So if the tackler gets kicked out towards your way, that's going to be in your zone.
Okay. Regardless if it's a run or pass play, like from that zone perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. The point is we should be watching for those two. And I just want to make sure, I don't want to make any kind of assumption that it's like, hey, I've taken over and I'm watching my receivers because they're pressed and they've gone out, but I'm not watching anything from any kind of holding or anything like that.
And you normally, I don't know, Brian, I think that the referee or umpire should take the tackle anyways. You should be looking at the receivers in front of the runner.
Mm-hmm.
They should, yeah, but it's that matter of like what you're saying, if your receiver is going downfield, you are moving your head back on the swivel there.
Right.
If you see something that is not good, if it's jumping out at you,
look for that indicator or something.
Right.
Perfect. No, thank you. Thank you.
All right, we have about 10 minutes left. Dave, I know you picked out some plays from the scrimmage. Do you want to share?
No, you go ahead and share it. I sent it to you, right?
I don't know. Did you send them in huddle or an email?
Yeah, I sent them in huddle.
Really?
It should be in the Metro.
In the Metro.
So
Yeah,
I didn't even know we got the game film uploaded until earlier in this meeting.
You know what? Do me a favor. Don't say anything to anybody that I got it. Trust me on this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I saw nothing.
I just looked at about, I don't know, looked at 20. I don't think there's all 20 in there, but just some general stuff that and I'll look at the rest of them later. And we can go from there. I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
All right, which one of these?
Second part 1. So we just talked about this. We can go straight to the squiggly thing. We just talked about this. The right tackle is already back too far. He's got to be moved up to the line of scrimmage. All right.
Yeah.
This is something that we've been. This is the point of emphasis we have. This guy's got to be on the line of scrimmage. And then I think somewhere along the way, you're going to find now that both right and left tackle are starting to move back. And that's what we were trying to prevent. Okay, so, and that's it on that play. I just looked at them pretty quick. I'll go through them more thoroughly when I have permission. Okay, so this back judge here backs out instead of, and keeps himself in front of the, keeps everything in front of him. We don't want the back judge turning his back on the field of play as he gets back into position. So he does a great job of just backing up. Okay, and here's a receiver lined up in the gray area. We don't want that either. So he's either got to be back or on the line of scrimmage.
Mm.
And then we got the no reason to move, the down, what is that? The line judge actually doesn't move. And then you can see the headlines and it moves. And he just signals incomplete. And the back judge should stop and then leaves the back judge and umpire hanging. So we want you to get in there, get involved in the ball relay. Okay, here's the right tackle and the left tackle are back too far. We got to get these guys on the line of scrimmage. And this is what's gonna, if you do nothing, this is exactly what happens. So we got to be aware of that. Here he does a great job of turning and just watching the play, and you just got to stay there and officiate. He starts to move and go after the ball. Signal there, and then we don't have to run towards on a sideline play. And I think he also just goes back into position here and does not get involved. Oh, he signals towards the field of play. He can signal towards the out of bounds. And then he needs to get in there for the ball relay. Once again, we leave the umpire and the back judge hanging. And this is all game tempo. This is where the back judges do the play clock and we don't get the ball down in time.
What is that comment for?
That was the umpire. That was the umpire comment.
Umpire comment? Yeah.
Hold up the signal. Yeah. And I think Andy was teaching that where the umpires need to stay on the ball during certain situations that the referee is just administers something. He needs to stay on the ball, and once the referee says we're good, then he can go off. Other times we just want him to set the ball and get the heck out of there. This is just walking. We no longer want to do the shuffle anymore. So we're walking the first five yards. We're getting away from the shuffling because of the eyes moving up and down. So we want the walking to steady the eyes a lot more, and then turning and running when necessary. Once again, we had the back judge taking off for the ball. That ball mysteriously comes back to the field of play on its own. We just want him to stop and signal incomplete. He never even signals, he just chases the ball. And then this guy does a good job of getting you can see Andy's out there already, so he's kind of used to not getting the ball himself. So this is how we wanted to have it done. So we have it done. So you only have to throw it, 15, 20 yards versus trying to throw a check at 50 yards. So once again, Grossman, we have to read the team. Grossman was not rushing, but hurrying up, has a hurry up offense. Here the back judge is only 10 yards away from the line of scrimmage. He is well out of position and moving at the ball when the ball was snapped. He needs to be in better position. Believe it or not, the offices nowadays have slowed down completely.
Hmm.
And we can slowly close in. We don't need to close any faster. Yeah, I don't think he seems incomplete on this short pass.
Oh, yeah.
So he's a covered official, should be signaling incomplete.
Hmm.
Here they go.
I always tell people to slow down. They could be going backwards. I was still telling them to slow down. And they need to close.
Hmm.
Probably did more, but he got cut out of the film. And we want the back to just stop and watch. He's got a good cushion here. Just stop and watch. And then close once the play is dead. Once again, the importance of stopping the clock. We should have all officials signaling to stop the clock. I'd like to be in the middle of the field, the back judges.
Mhm.
This play actually goes to his right. He moves too much, signals backwards, it's actually a forward pass.
Whoa.
And he needs to stop the clock.
If he signals backwards, you can't signal incomplete.
Well, you can't, but the off official over here should recognize that. And besides, it's his call. It's the line judge's call on this.
Mhm.
Right, Brian? So this is a line judge's call. So the line judge has to step up. This is where the line judge has to step up and say, hey, that pass was forward, and tell the referee it was a forward pass. It should be incomplete.
And when you see that quick pass coming, if you can read that that's going to be close like that, take a step or two into the backfield to see if you can get a better angle on it. Oh, that one's pretty straight. That one's pretty easy to see going forward.
Yeah, this was pretty easy to see as forward.
Stop the clock.
Stop the clock. And then we need to square off the spot, right? Stop the clock for a first down.
Mhm.
Let the referee know we got a first down. The referee is pretty slow, so you need to tell him that it's a first down. Referees will look over here unless he can tell. Well, this one I could tell, so I was already stopping the clock coming up the field because this is well past the first down line of the game. But he should still be going through that mechanic anyways. Keep it consistency. You don't want to pick up bad habits because it's that one time that you don't do it that we need you to do it. So, and I think that's it. I only did 20, up to 20, I think.
Yeah, we're back.
The
to
back, for the back judges, how far are you starting off the ball?
2025.
There are a couple of those last couple of plays.
Yeah, there was a couple that were much deeper than that.
Yeah.
For me personally, that's where I was starting.
Depends
Kind
on
of
the
depending on the
safety.
down distance.
Yeah, hopefully Steve will send these out. Once again, I can go in a huddle and pull them myself. But if Steve sends them out or gives me permission, I'll send them out. But I'm gonna look through them all and if Steve allows me to send them out, I will.
We would love any comments you have.
Yeah.
Man,
I think you guys did a great job. I mean, there's a lot of it is crew, there's a lot going on. I think you can see with just the Grossman offense, there's a lot going on. And it's just something that you have to keep up on. Like I say, I think Brian's the same way, officials are slow. They got to keep up with the referee. I mean, and they got to keep up with the game. There are certain instances on timeouts and so forth is a different story. But even after a timeout, we should be, once the back judge blows his whistle, we should be getting back into position. So we can start right after we do the ready for play.
Mhm. Cool. Well, we are a couple minutes over. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Answering all of our
Thank
questions.
you.
Thank you.
And,
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
yeah.
Mhm.
Dave,
Thank you,
thanks
Brian.
for the film clips. Those are awesome as well. And thanks all of you
Yes.
for the participation. Always appreciate it.
And definitely if anything comes up through the season or anything, you can always reach out to me at any time. I'd be more than happy to
Awesome.
talk through anything, answer any questions.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right. And remember, Tuesday night is our rules test. So those of you
Yes.
from the second year class. get
6:30
ready.
p.m.
6:30, yeah. So, cool. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Good
Thank you.
night. Bye.